Next, we're going to hear from a couple of people from the British Columbia Marine Conservation Analysis. That's Neil Davis and Dave Nicholson. I think they're going to share their 15 minutes, and I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do this, but they only come in twos, these guys. So,
join at the hip. That's a good way to do it.
So I'm not Neil Davis. I'm nearly Neil, or you got the real Neil partway through the presentation. My name is Dave Nicholson. I'm project manager with the PNCIMA, and some of you are probably aware of this project. There's a few people in the room that are actively involved. Some of you might not have heard of this before. So we're going to go over a little bit about what we're doing with regards to information and knowledge, and I guess we should probably acknowledge up front that two components that aren't part of the BC MCA analysis or the project is traditional ecological knowledge and local ecological knowledge. So we can talk about that as we go through the presentation. I should also mention that Neil coerced me to come up here to answer all the hard questions afterwards, and he's not going to share his gift with me. Just press this. Oh, okay. Good. So the project purpose, the project's been actively working for about a year now, and kind of doing some background work before that for a little while. I'll get into who's involved in the project in a little bit, but initially, just the project is about identifying areas that have marine conservation values or values on the coast, as well as areas that are important to human use. It's a coast-wide analysis. It's not specific to the PNCIMA area, but one of the things it will do is it'll put PNCIMA in a coast-wide context, or the information that's available in the PNCIMA area in a coast-wide context. So the purpose is to look at areas both of conservation value or ecological value and of value to human use, where those overlap, where there is no overlap, so on and so forth. There's going to be two primary products. We're going to generate some maps and conduct some analysis that's intended to be used in marine planning processes such as PNCIMA or processes in other parts of the province. Our purpose isn't to advocate for any planning outcomes or replace planning processes. That's important. We're not a planning process. We're a project that's providing information that is being developed by the project team to be useful for processes that you folks are involved in at various scales. So who we are, we're a project team that was initially established in 2006 to provide overarching direction to the project. I should mention that the project team has evolved over time. It's both expanded in scope, as well as people that have been involved in the project have changed jobs, moved on, and other people have come into the project, and yet the project still continues to move forward with its original vision, which is an accomplishment in and itself. We also have a project team staff that was initially hired almost a year ago today. Neil and myself are two of those staff members. Our job is, in essence, to implement the project and to move it forward. Another major component of the project is what's being called a Human Use Data Working Group. Neil's going to speak about that group in more detail, but they were established in the fall of 2008 to bring more human use perspective into the project. The project before that point had been focused more on the ecological side, and we knew when we started the project we needed for us to be able to produce products that are going to be useful, that you can't do that without the human use perspective, bringing both knowledge and advice on the information. We don't have it, the human users do. So the project team consists of individuals who I can't say they represent these agencies, they're from these agencies, and they communicate back and forth with other individuals in the agencies. There's individuals involved from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Parks Canada on the federal government side. On the provincial government side, we've got project team member from the Integrated Land Management Bureau. We have an academic representative who used to be at the University of British Columbia, and she is now at James Cook University in Australia, which is beneficial to us because some of the analysis is using software that was developed down in Australia nearby, and there's quite a user community that she's able to tap into. We have 2 project team members that represent some ENGO groups, as well as representatives that are from the Human Use Data Working Group, and they communicate the working group's intentions up to the project team and relay information from the project team back to the Human Use Data Working Group as well. We also have a number of organizations that are involved in the project team in an observer capacity. They've self-selected to be observers on the project team. And the question was raised once, what is an observer? What's the difference between a project team member and an observer? And in essence, an observer is a full participant in the project team. They're providing advice to us. They're communicating back and forth with us. But they choose not to be parts of decisions that are made by the project team. And those include representatives from Coastal First Nations and Council of Haudenosaunee Fisheries, I think it is, Neil. The Ministry of Environment, Oceans and Marine Fisheries Branch, and the West Coast Aquatic Management Board. So we have a Human Use Data Working Group, and there are a number of different organizations from the working group. Neil is going to go into more detail about the working group in a little bit later. I won't read out all the names. You all can read them yourselves. And I should also mention that all of this information is available on the BCMCA website, www.bcmca.ca, and I think that the URL is on the last slide. I did. Okay. So why are the project team organizations participating? In essence, those that are involved in the project have a common interest in seeing marine planning moving forward, generating not only information but knowledge about that information. The people involved in the project and those that are contributing to the project recognize that comprehensive data sources and the knowledge behind the data sources, the quality assessment of the data, knowledge of where the data gaps are, and conducting some preliminary analysis, looking at scenarios, are going to be useful tools for marine planning at a variety of scales on the BC coast. We've got two essential products, and associated there's a third product as well. But the first product is a hard copy atlas showing the breadth and extent of the data that's available. That atlas is going to have a facing page. It has descriptions on the data, where the data come from, who has reviewed the data, what these reviewers say about the data. Is it good? Is it bad? Can it be used? Shouldn't it be used? Are there data gaps? So on and so forth. That's kind of the atlas component. The second component of the project is an analysis of the data that's going into the atlas. This analysis is going to be done using a software program called MarkSan. I won't go into details. I could bend your ear for hours on this particular tool. It's a spatial optimization that looks at where these values occur in space and where they overlap with other values. We're conducting analysis on three types of analysis where there's areas of marine values that coalesce in specific areas, looking at areas of high-value marine areas that minimize overlap with human use. We're also going to look at areas of human use that where there's concentrations of human use on the coast, and Russ had a very good map display of that a little bit earlier this afternoon. And the final is areas of high marine value that incorporate marine reserve design principles. The other type of a product those are both tangible products, but there's certainly another product that we talked about earlier today, and that's the the collaboration and building the social capital. And that's certainly, it's not a measurable product, but it's certainly an outcome of the project that is becoming more important as we get further into it.